The King's Avatar, Chapter 1515 An Unbelievable Collapse. Audio source, wusharworldaudiobook.com. Chapter 1515, An Unbelievable Collapse. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. What happened? Everyone was stunned. Countless people in the crowd stood up, looking around in a panic. Dust and smoke was scattered all around the stage. The lifelike projections caused many people to misunderstand what had happened. They thought that the actual competent stage had collapsed. It wasn't until the stadium broadcasted an explanation repeatedly that the panicked crowd came to a realization. When they looked carefully at the stage again, they saw that the stage was intact. What wasn't intact were the scenes of the match displayed by the projection. That beautiful fairy tale-like forest had been struck by an apocalypse. Everything was destroyed. The buildings and walkways built on top of the trees lost their support and collapsed to the ground. In the group arena, the audience had witnessed the inside of a manor being completely wrecked. However, in comparison to this scene, the level of shock was similar to the difference between an explosion from a grenade and an atomic bomb. What happened? Everyone was obviously curious, but soon afterwards, the people with better eyesight could see a figure moving inside this apocalyptic scene. Who was it? They couldn't see the figure clearly. Luckily, the camera zoomed in figure and displayed it on the big screen for everyone to see. Lord Grimm. Lord Grimm was still moving. What else? Flames. The other end had flames. The camera focused on a different area. Dancing rain. It was Su Muchung's dancing rain. Her surroundings were collapsing, but she stood there firmly, firing her gun. Firing where? The camera followed the path of her artillery shells and quickly found Tyranny's dazzling 100 blossoms. He wasn't nearly as calm as Dancing Rain. He looked like he had come out from a disaster movie, bitterly seeking to survive. The artillery shells from Dancing Rain landed on him. Zhang Jiale hadn't noticed the attack. He didn't have the energy to. Happy was still attacking. A satellite beam descended from the sky, sweeping over Tyranny. What else? Concealed light. The audience found concealed light. He was the same as Dancing Rain. The collapsing surroundings simply served as a backdrop. It was as if he didn't even see it. He calmly waved his staff, placing two symbols on the ground, controlling his summons. Thunder Eagle. Young Wyvern. Summons with flight had a huge advantage in these situations. These two summons followed Luoji's commands, unobstructed by the terrain. Their attacks weren't towards Tyranny. The fireballs and thunderbolts swept through the forest, exacerbating the collapse. Could this apocalyptic scene have been created by this rookie, Luoji? After realizing this point, everyone thought of the word strategy. Had all of this been a part of Happy's strategy? They couldn't help but examine the outcome of this strategy. How should they examine it? By looking at the health on Tyranny's characters. A devastating sight. Tyranny's situation was too horrible to describe. Tyranny originally held the advantage in health, but with one move, the sky and earth had reversed. All 5 characters on Tyranny had experienced a massive drop in health. What's worse, it hadn't ended yet, because Happy was still attacking them amidst this chaos. Happy's assault was with rhythm and thought. Su Muchung's Dancing Rain led the way. Then, Yishu's Lord Grimm, Tangro's Soft Mist, and the summons from Luoji's Concealed Light joined in. As for Tyranny, everyone was the same as Zhang Jiale. They had no way of making any decisions in this chaos. Even if they were old generals, none of them had ever experienced the entire team trapped in a collapsing forest. They couldn't make any contact with each other. Everyone was trapped in their own predicament. They tried to grasp their opponent's attacks and counterattack, but the outcome was unsatisfactory. Happy held the initiative, utilizing this unbelievable collapse to thoroughly crush tyranny. Who died first didn't matter. The names of tyranny's 5 characters turned grey one after the other. They had a 6th player, but did it matter? Happy had 5 and not a single one missing. Lee. Coach Lee. Quote, when Pan Lin saw the 4th name on tyranny turn grey, he came back to his senses. He and Li Yibo had been completely dumbstruck during this period of time, not uttering a single sound. No one in the broadcast team reminded him. Everyone was staring blankly at the scene in front of them. This. Li Yibo regained his composure, but apart from saying this, he didn't know what else to say. Tyranny's 6th player, by Yanfi's Elementalist Rota, had entered the match, rushing towards the battlefield without any second thoughts. No matter the situation, Tyranny's young heroes wouldn't back down. But everyone knew that there was nothing he could do. Not even a miracle could save Tyranny at this point. The match was over. What they need to do was review this final astonishing scene. What had happened? Even though Pan Lin had called for Li Yibo, he ultimately didn't ask this question. He knew that, let alone Li Yibo, no one in the entire world had ever witnessed such a wide-scale collapse in a glory competition before. This, I feel like, Happy had intentionally set it up, Li Yibo guessed, even though he didn't dare believe that it was possible to set up such a frightening scene. Seeing how Happy came out of it safe and sound, and then calmly and efficiently wiped out tyranny, it could be seen that all of this was planned. How did they do it? Pan Lin asked. In the end, he finally asked this question. Those were the only words going through his head right now. Apart from these words, he couldn't think of anything else. How did they do it? Li Yibo laughed dryly. How could he know? Wuxia But when he turned to look, he suddenly focused on a single character, Concealed Light. Luoji, Concealed Light. Concealed Light had joined the battle 13 minutes and 32 seconds after it had begun. What had he been doing before then? Li Yibo realized something and hastily had the director find a replay from Concealed Light's perspective. Luoji, it really was Luoji. He hadn't joined the battle until 13 minutes and 32 seconds later. Apart from hiding together with his teammates at first, Concealed Light had been busy in this forest area the entire time. This calamity had been brought about by him. It's Luoji, Li Yibo said. This time, the broadcast displayed a replay of what Luoji's Concealed Light had been busy doing at the beginning. But don't ask me how he did it. I don't know either. Luoji was just one person. But he was a summoner, so he could summon many servants to do his bidding. The scene shown in front of everyone seemed to be a busy construction site. All sorts of summons were fiercely attacking the surroundings under the Concealed Light's orders. Is he breaking apart all the parts supporting the buildings? Pan Lin said. He broke them all. It's clear that he needs to be able to time when a place collapses. Li Yibo said. Pan Lin wanted to how he did that, but this time, Li Yibo had been prepared. He had preemptively said, don't ask me, I don't know. Quote, in the end, Pan Lin's how did he do it? Became a sigh, because this could probably be answered by no one but Luoji himself. I really want to go to the post-match press conference now, Li Yibo said. This question would definitely be the highlight of the post-match press conference. The brilliance of the group arena and the other parts of the team competition had probably been forgotten by now. Everyone's attention was on this question. The match officially ended, and Happy won the team competition with a 5-point lead. When Bai Yanfi's rotor died, the surroundings hadn't entirely collapsed yet. There were a few places that were still shuddering. Apart from the astonishment at the turn of events, everyone was also in praise of Glory's in-game mechanics. It was over. Happy had won. For Happy's fans, this was naturally something to be excited about. The Tyranny fans were silent. How could they be happy about such a defeat? The two teams lined up on stage. After the 6 players on Tyranny came out from the player booths, they raised their heads to look at the big screen in the stadium because the highlights of the match would always be played during this time. How could they have forgotten about what had just happened? They need to know the answer. At the end, when the two teams lined up, the 6 players on Tyranny were all looking at Luo Ji, who was standing at the end. Yishu, Su Mucheng, Fang Rui. No matter how big of a star, at this moment, they were nothing but air. Finally, Yishu let out a laugh, taking the initiative to shake Han Wenqing's hand. You were probably scared out of your mind, no? Yishu said. Even you couldn't have done that. Han Wenqing said. Ha! Yishu laughed and didn't explain. He shook Zhang Xinji's hand and asked. You couldn't figure it out either, right? Zhang Xinji shook his head in honesty. Yes, even he only knew that Luo Ji had been the cause for everything. He didn't know how he did it, and if someone asked him to do it, he wouldn't have been able to do it either. Sorry for your loss. Yishu shook Zhang Jiale's hands. Sorry for your loss, my ass. Zhang Jiale cursed. What kind of people are your team members? When it was his turn, Lin Jingyan spoke up first. End chapter.
The King's Avatar, Chapter 15-16 can be casually accomplished. Audio source, wuxia-worldaudiobook.com. Chapter 15-16 can be casually accomplished. Translator, Gnome Yummy. Editor, Gnome Yummy. The match had been decided. But for a playoffs match, the stadium right now was almost too calm. Far too many people hadn't even recovered from the shock yet. This was Happy's stadium. Happy instantly reversing the situation to achieve such a massive victory was something that should have made them go wild. But because of this method, they were still processing what had just happened. It wasn't until the players of both sides completed the post-match exchange and began acknowledging the crowd that many people were roused from their trance. They won. They won. They had indeed won. Oh. Suddenly, cheers rose up. The passion of the audience had actually come so late. Sitting in front of a television, Yu Wenzhou received a phone call. It was from Huang Xiaoshan, but after he picked up, all he heard was noise, clearly coming from the stadium. Huang Xiaoshan, like the rest of the audience, had been reviewing what had happened and only just now recovered. That was incredible. Yu Wenzhou heard Huang Xiaoshan's voice yelling from the other end. Ha! Yu Wenzhou chuckled. How did they do it, huh? Huang Xiaoshan continued to shout. Who knows? Yu Wenzhou said. Indeed. Who knew the answer to this question? After greeting the crowd, the players of both teams left the stage and returned to the prep rooms. After a brief rest, they would begin the post-match press conference. First up was the losing side, Tyranny. Captain Han Wenqing, Vice-Captain Zhang Xinjie, and Zhang Jiali were the 3 representatives. As soon as they arrived, they saw the reporters all eager and anxious to ask their questions. Unsurprisingly, as soon as the conference officially began, the first reporter chosen to speak didn't even bother with the typical sympathetic words for the losing team, instead directly asking what their views were of this match. An extremely formulaic question, but for this match, everyone felt that this question was particularly weighty, and went straight to the point. Extremely unexpected, Han Wenqing answered, "Just 2 words?" The reporters were clearly unsatisfied. "Could you elaborate?" someone requested. Happy's plan in the team round was indeed unprecedented and surpassed all imagination. We had completely neglected this possibility. Quote, an elaboration came from Tyranny's vice-captain Zhang Xinjie. Even though he was known for his minimal error rate, it was impossible for him to never make an error, and he himself never claimed that title, nor was he ever ashamed to mention his own mistakes. He had categorized this team match as their negligence, but even if he defined it this way, most people probably wouldn't agree with him. That scene shook and shocked the entire Glory world. Tyranny shouldn't be blamed for failing to anticipate this possibility. The reporters of course didn't pursue this point. Immediately afterward, another reporter asked, "This loss, will it affect Tyranny's upcoming match?" "I don't believe so." Zhang Xinji's words were always that precise. "I believe that this kind of large-scale and accurate plan requires a large amount of preparation. Next matches are Tyranny's home game. 2 matches." Quote. This time it was Han Wenqing who added some words from the side. Zhang Xinji smiled. Han Wenqing's 2 matches was equivalent to declaring that next match was Tyranny's victory. This, of course, was what Zhang Xinji expected and hoped for as well. But he wouldn't say these kind of words without confirmation, and besides, he need to correct Han Wenqing's statement for the point he wanted to make. Next match is Tyranny's home game, and in the case that we win. Not in the case we're winning for sure, okay? Next match and next match, both of them. Quote. This time, Zhang Jiali just mercilessly cut him off. Zhang Xinji was helpless, but the reporters were all looking at him, clearly still waiting for him to finish his thought. Zhang Xinji didn't bother to emphasize his "in the case," and instead said, "If we advance to the third match with the randomly chosen map, Happy still will not be equipped to deploy such a strategy again, so for the upcoming matches, we do not need to worry about facing a situation like today's." To the side, Zhang Jiali curled his lip. Evidently he was still rather dissatisfied by Zhang Xinji's usage of "if" in referring to the third match. Zhang Xinji's analysis was rational and rigorous. Based on this kind of analysis, everyone discovered that indeed, even though Happy had produced a frightening scene this round, all they accomplished was this one round's victory. It had no strategic impact on the upcoming battles. As long as Tyranny adjusted their attitude and didn't let this loss affect them too much psychologically, they would be fine. And would this be difficult for Tyranny? They were all war veterans. With Zhang Xinji's analysis, this match was just an ordinary away game loss. How could it affect their morale? Tyranny's mood was extremely stable. As the background of the frightening events of this battle, they seemed to have completely adjusted their mood by the end of the match. They were already focused on the next match and even the next match. Whatever Happy had managed to pull off this match, it wouldn't weigh down their thoughts at all. The press conference of the losing side didn't give off the air of being lost or downtrodden at all. This was Tyranny. Nothing could stop them from lifting their chests and advancing forward. Afterward, the 3 members who participated in the press conference returned to the prep room. Once everyone gathered their things, they could leave the stadium. The television screen in the prep room, however, was displaying Happy's press conference. No one purposely tried to avoid it. They would occasionally glance over, wanting to hear what Happy was going to say. For their press conference, Happy sent out Yishu, Fang Rui, and Luoji, 3 people. It didn't even need to be said who the star of today's show was. As soon as the 3 of them walked out, the cameras flashed non-stop. 80% of them were close-ups of Luoji, who felt like he was going to go blind. He had certainly never experienced this sort of greeting before. Congratulations to Happy on a 3rd straight victory. WuxaWorldAudio.com. Interviews with the winning side were always a bit more cheerful, carefree, and natural. In general, victorious teams were willing to talk a bit more, so reporters weren't especially impatient. Continuing from last round where Blue Rain's Huang Shaoxin suffered heavy injuries from cutting down a tree, Happy once again used a similar idea. Of course the questioning began with this point. That was entirely different. Huang Shaoxin did that to himself. Yishu said. Fuck. Yu Wenzhou, who was watching the television, received more messages from Huang Shaoxian, 2 in a row. First a curse, and then, "I'm gonna kill that guy for sure. Do you know any assassins you could introduce me to?" Yu Wenzhou smiled and ignored him. The live crowd had burst into laughter, and Yu Wenzhou could understand how embarrassed Huang Shaoxian must be. So what happened today was something that Happy purposely set up? A reporter continued to ask. Of course, Yishu said. Could you talk about how this was accomplished? You must have made extensive preparations in many aspects, right? The reporter pulled out the question they cared about the most, and everyone's gazes focused on Luoji. But unexpectedly, Yishu answered this question first. It wasn't necessary. Our player here has an exceptionally sensitive intuition for maps. After just one look, he can instantly figure out how to do it. What? All of the reporters were dumbstruck. The press conference actually quieted down completely. Luoji was sweating. Luoji was sweating waterfalls. Luoji was sweating Iguazu Falls. They were actually just going to say this? A bit unsettled, Luoji snuck a glance at Yishu, only to see a completely calm and honest expression. After just one look, he can instantly figure out how to do it? Since when did he have that kind of demonic ability? In order to accurately create this enormous destruction, he had used who knew how many kilograms of draft paper just for his miscellaneous scratch work alone. Guan Rongfei had supplied a large amount of data and calculations on all sorts of aspects of the in-game physics as well. This was a strategy that had been prepared for a very long time. To use it in the regular season would be too wasteful, so they had saved it for the crucial elimination stage of the playoffs, to deliver a hammering blow. Before they had come to attend the press conference, Yishu exhorted him to say this and that, but he had thought that Yishu was kidding. But now, he saw how, facing the camera lenses of so many reporters, Yishu was so relaxed and composed as he lied. You could just do it like that? What kind of power do you have? Quote. When the reporters recovered, they instantly focused on Luoji again, and even addressed him with the formal "you." Hearing this, Luoji became even more panicked. Of course, he could only say what he could. If he was wrong, so he muddled through a story. I was always pretty interested in Glory's map things, so I guess I have a certain amount of experience and some intuition. It's probably just something like that." The reporters were too good at observing people. Yishu was very calm, but this Luoji, he was still young, and seemed to be a bit panicked. But when they thought again, this was a rookie, suddenly being surrounded as though he were a star. It would be fairly normal for him to be a bit nervous. So was it the truth? The reporters were wavering between belief and doubt. Watching the television, though, Yu Wenzhou was already laughing. How could such a thing be possible? As soon as you heard what he said, it was clearly something just to fool them. What kind of idiot would actually believe that? In the away team prep room, Tyranny hadn't yet left. When the conference reached this point, the prep room instantly quieted down. Song King hurriedly made his way next to Zhang Xinjie. Vice Captain, Senior Yishu just said that they hadn't prepared this beforehand. It was just an on-the-spot plan. Then, even in their away game, they might be able to do it again. Idiot, how could you believe that? That guy Yishu is purposely trying to make this a mystery. Zhang Jiali immediately came over to teach Song King. Is that so? Song King was at a loss. He continued to watch the television, and heard Luoji's speech. Experience and intuition? Song King muttered, sneaking a glance at Zhang Jiali. Look at him, he was clearly taught to say that by Yishu. Zhang Jiali told Song King. Song King didn't say anything, and looked at Zhang Xinjie. That kind of experience and intuition, is there such a thing? Zhang Xinjie was saying. Are you an idiot too? Zhang Jiali was all sorts of speechless. We have severely insufficient data in this area. It may be necessary to re-evaluate, said Zhang Xinjie, and Chapter
The King's Avatar, Chapter 15-17. Next round. Audio source, wuxia-world-audiobook.com. Chapter 15-17. Next round. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. The post-match interviews from Happy led to a heated debate. There were people who believed it, but there were many who didn't. The reporters asked for the logic behind their reasoning, wanting to earnestly understand what they meant by experience and intuition of the terrain. But Happy pushed all of their questions away, even those from eSport Home's Chang Xian, who had a very close relationship with them. Happy stated, "A great battle is imminent." As Happy's secret weapon, Luoji does not have the leisure to play around. He needs to use his time to continue tempering his experience and intuition of the terrain. He wasn't able to display his true strength last round. It was a home game after all. Next round will be the true test. Yizhu told Chang Xian, who had come to him directly to talk. "Are you serious?" Quote, although Chang Xian had a good relationship with Happy and supported the team, he didn't believe it personally. It wasn't just him. Anyone with a certain understanding of glory would have their doubts. The ones who immediately gasped in surprise were noobs who didn't have the skill to see it. Chang Xian was a professional reporter who followed the glory scene closely. His own individual skill at glory might not be anything noteworthy, but his perception of the game could not compare to a normal player. After hearing Yizhu's words, he looked left and right, confirming that there was no one else around. He lowered his voice and asked, "Is this psychological warfare?" Yes, it's psychological warfare." Yizhu nodded his head and laughed. Chang Xian wanted to cry. Yizhu told him yes, but he had said it half-heartedly. Was he supposed to believe it or not? Sure enough, his minuscule skills were far from enough in front of this god. Then, I'll just have to wait and see. Chang Xian could only helplessly say some nonsense and leave with a laugh. Bye. Yizhu said his goodbyes to Chang Xian before returning to Happy's practice room. Everyone was there in front of their computers. The atmosphere in the room was quite casual. The time between games in the playoffs was even more tight than the regular season. The teams had to rush back and forth between venues, which used up a good amount of their time on travel. As a result, a stable practice schedule between games such as in the regular season couldn't be done in the playoffs. Most of their practice was to maintain their conditions. If the regular season required consistency, then the playoffs required explosiveness. An explosiveness that used everything you had. The ones who could persist until the end would be the winners. The ones who relaxed would likely be the ones to fall in the playoffs. Happy had won the first match of the second round. It was something to be happy about, but it was far too early to celebrate. It looked like everyone understood this point. Everyone was using their own methods to reflect on the outcome of the match in preparation for the next match. Did he leave? Chen Guo asked Yizhu. She didn't lower her voice, afraid of bothering the others. The current atmosphere was their usual daily one. If there was something someone wanted to say, then they could just say it. It wasn't a practice session, where they need to focus intensely on their playing. He left. How did you say it? Chen Guo asked. Luoji is a secret weapon, how can we let them interview him so easily? Yizhu patted Luoji's shoulders as he seared. Luoji's body went soft. He turned his head with difficulty. Isn't that not good? Relax, it has nothing to do with you. Yizhu laughed. Luoji wanted to cry. What do you mean it has nothing to do with me? Right now, everyone in Glory was talking about him. Making one's name after a single battle described this situation exactly. That night, his four-beast summon style was no longer called that. People gave it another name. Building demolition style. It looked like there were countless people who thought he was a demolition specialist who could instantly see through the terrain and destroy it. Luoji obviously understood why Yishu insisted on saying it like that. However, as a rookie, he was completely unprepared for this psychological warfare, which completely distorted the truth. Luoji discovered that the world was far scarier than he had imagined. It really has nothing to do with you. Yishu continued. What comes next is something tyranny has to worry about. Is that so? Then, next match. Of course you'll be playing next match. Even if we don't use the atomic bomb, just having it there is very intimidating. Yishu said. Atomic bomb. Luoji felt his body go soft again. Do you really think that it'll scare tyranny? Chen Guo spoke up. After a match, she would scour the forums. From what she read, the more persuasive posters were saying that Yishu was just making stuff up. Glory had an enormous player base, so there would naturally be many experts in the game. Many people were already pointing out what needed to be done. Chen Guo knew the truth, and felt like Yishu's psychological warfare was rather naive this time. Of course it won't scare them. Yishu said. Nothing can scare tyranny, but it'll leave a thorn in their hearts. Even if it's just a teeny tiny advantage, we still have to take it. Okay. Chen Guo nodded her head and didn't say anything more. To do everything they could meant taking those 1%, 1%, 0.01% chances. That was what Yishu was saying. Ever since he started in the 10th server, he had always done this. Team Tyranny. After the match, they took a flight back to City Q and began preparations for their home game. Similar to Happy, Tyranny wouldn't do any strenuous trying between playoff games. However, their vice-captain Zhang Xinji didn't seem to have a relaxed attitude right now. When Lin Jingyan went over to see what he was doing in the practice room, he saw that Zhang Xinji was studying the full moon forest map that Happy had chosen last round. His character was looking at the floor that Happy had completely collapsed, leading to Tyranny's demise. Do you really believe him? Lin Jingyan grabbed a chair and sat beside Zhang Xinji. He watched him study the area as he asked. Not really. Zhang Xinji said. Not really meant that there was some leeway. WuxRWorldAudio.com. With Zhang Xinji's personality, he wanted to erase that final bit of leeway. Lin Jingyan knew that he couldn't stop him. It was just the way Zhang Xinji was. It had its advantages, but it had its disadvantages. Yishu was poking at this weak spot. His words might not be able to cheat others, but it would work on Zhang Xinji. It wouldn't trick Zhang Xinji, but it would divert his attention away. There were only 3 days away until the next match. Would Zhang Xinji be able to clear away his doubts by then? It wasn't that Lin Jingyan didn't trust his teammate, but he really didn't look favorably on Zhang Xinji towards this issue. He had seen of the comments related to this topic and agreed with the commentary. Happy collapsing that entire area had nothing to do with experience or skill at Glory, but science. Science. Those words felt so distant to Lin Jingyan. He had worked hard in the pro scene for 9 years and understood the scene well. Let alone science, most players of the game weren't on the high end of the spectrum in terms of knowledge. The number of competitive players with high educational backgrounds were rather limited. After all, the competitive scene emphasized youth. University graduates would be considered elderly when thrown with new players. Zhang Xinji. Zhang Xinji may be called a master tactician with an intelligent mind, but in terms of academics, he was probably at a high school level. No. Last night, he had looked at some very detailed analysis. The poster had included higher-level math like differential equations. Just looking at it gave Lin Jingyan a nightmare. Wouldn't it be better to give it to the R&D department to look at? Lin Jingyan advised. The R&D department is already looking into it. Zhang Xinji was Zhang Xinji. He had already done what Lin Jingyan had thought of. Oh. Lin Jingyan nodded his head. Then. There was no then. The R&D department was already analyzing it, but Zhang Xinji was still analyzing it himself too. That was it. Lin Jingyan didn't say anything more. He turned on the computer nearby. The two playoffs team that had finished their matches were preparing for the next round. That night, it was the match between Tiny Herb and Samsara, which would be taking place in City B in Tiny Herb's home stadium. In the end, Samsara won their away game, beating Tiny Herb 11-7. Tiny Herb had lost their home game. It was a rather bad outlook for them. But it wasn't outside of people's expectations. The pre-match analysis had Samsara with a higher chance of winning, even if they were against the two-time champions, Tiny Herb. Before the match, the topic of who would become the next excellent era and be the second team to win 3 championships. Quote, after this round, the answer seemed to have already come. It was as if this best of 3 was already over. Then, what about the other best of 3? Happy versus Tyranny. The second match came as scheduled. But looking at the online polls, Happy's home game win didn't increase Happy's winning chances this round. In fact, it actually went down. Because this match would be Tyranny's home game. Even if you didn't like Tyranny, no one thought that Tyranny would stumble because of their loss in the first game. Even if such an unprecedented reversal had happened last round, Tyranny's heroes wouldn't fall so easily. City Q, Tyranny's home stadium. The two teams lined up under the spotlight. How are things going? Have you found a way to win? Yishu provoked Tyranny. What do you think? Han Wenqing wasn't as wordy as Yishu, but he never lost out in vigor. Little Zhang, good luck. Yishu called Zhang Xinji, Little Zhang. There were only a few players in the Glory Alliance that had the qualifications to say that. Zhang Xinji chuckled. This sort of psychological attack would do nothing to him. You're really boring. Zhang Jialei talked back to Yishu soon after. Not coming to Happy is actually the biggest mistake you've made in your career. Yishu said to Zhang Jialei. Fuck off. Zhang Jialei cursed. Mistake was ear-piercing enough. There was even an actually in front. What did that mean?